Shankara Mat Kalady. Sir is actively engaged in the dissemination of ancient wisdom. Currently, he is engaged in the online teaching of in the online teaching of Shivananda Lahiri of Acharya Sankara. On behalf of International School for Śrī Śaṅkarācārya Studies, I extend a warm welcome to renowned scholar, Professor Subrahmanya Iyer, sir. Warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I extend a warm welcome to our director, Professor Sree teacher, as the chair of this session. The teacher is actively participating in the other official duties of our university. Teacher is holding the charge of Vice Chancellor of our university. In spite of her busy schedule, she is always vigilant in the academic activities of International School for Śrī Śaṅkarācārya Studies. And on behalf of ISSS, I extend a warm welcome to Sree teachers to chair this session. I welcome Senior Professor Ramakrishna Patte, and the other dignitaries and my dear students to this academic program. Once again, I welcome one and all to this academic program. Thank you all. Over to Ramya.
Thank you, ma'am. Now may I invite the chair of today's session, Professor Sree Iyer, to speak a few words.
Thank you, Ramya. Respected dignitaries, Professor Subrahmanya Iyer, Professor Ramakrishna Bhatt, Professor Chandrika, whom I have noticed among the senior professors who have joined us. Thank you, Shiva, for those kind words. Yes, of all the lot of work that I happen to do in the university, this is the most rejoicing exercise because it is highly rewarding. It is too beneficial for me. One is that I learn a lot, and then the second is it is a kind of stage setting for others as well, because ISSS happens to set the stage where huge discussions on the basic Mula Grandhas of the Shastra of all the streams of Vedanta that happen to take place. And as I have said in several platforms, I presume that this is the greatest academic activity that Śrī Śaṅkarācārya University of Sanskrit happen to undertake currently. And I'm very confident in claiming this. So good evening to you all, and on behalf of International School for Śrī Śaṅkarācārya Studies, I welcome you to this monthly study cycle of text reading from interpretation of the original works of masterminds of yesteryears. It's called the Mula Grantha Pataha Vyakhyacha. Friends, this evening we shall read the Tatvopadeśa, a less known work of Acharya Sankara. Less known in the sense, not that it is not significant. For some reason or the other, probably Professor Iyer will tell us why the text has not been picked up by scholars on and off. But the text carries around significant verses of in around 80 to 84 verses with an in-depth analysis of the Mahavakya Tatvamasi. All of us are aware of the significance of this Mahavakya in the grand narrative of Advaita Vedanta, where the Jiva undertakes a gradual ascendance to the pure consciousness. Dr. Iyer, yeah, thank you. So that where the Jiva takes a gradual ascendance to the pure consciousness, consistently shedding off the shackles of ignorance at different stages. Now, this text undertakes a rigorous analytic study of the two terms, Tvam and Tats. The work starts with the analysis of the Tvam Pada. It starts like this. Tatvam Padardha Shuddhyadham Guru Shishyam Vajo Bravit Vakye Tatvam Asi Ityatra Tvam Padardham Vivechaya. So in this conversation that happened to take place between the Guru and the Shishya, the Guru commences the discourse with the analysis of the Tvam Padartha. So Tattvamasi ityatra Tvam Padartham kimiti prashnaha. Tasya vivechanam kartum udyati acharyah prathamatah. Tadanantaram tat padarthasya vivechanam. So followed by this identity of Tvam and Tat independently, then there is this identity thesis that has been brought. They can't stand as two independent entities. They have to be brought together as well. So the identity between the Tvam and the Tat is also being brought out. Adapting the standard via negativa method. We all know that Shankara is famous for this via negativa method. In Europe, several classical scholars also have adopted, like Bradley, have adopted this via negativa method, that is consistently negating what it is not. So Acharya here goes on negating in the first few verses. He goes on negating what the Tvam is not. Like in the second verse, he says, Natvam dehosi, and it goes on. Followed by the third verse, Adrishyo Rupahinastvam Jatihino Apyabhautikaha, and goes on negating what the Tvam is not. Wonderful, the text as such. And we are all eagerly waiting to listen to the text from none other than Professor Subrahmanya Iyer. It is indeed a great fortune of ISSS that we have a mastermind like Professor Subrahmanya Iyer has come forward to read this wonderful text for us. Professor Shiba has given a good introduction of Professor Subrahmanya Iyer. Our friendship is very, very old. And Professor Subrahmanya Iyer needs no introduction to the community of scholars, particularly to the university fraternity, because he is almost one among the faculty of the Śaṅkarācārya University of Sanskrit, though he comes from the neighboring educational institute. And currently he functions as the head of the Sringeri Mutt of Kalady as well. So on behalf of ISSS, I once again extend a warm welcome to Professor Subrahmanya Iyer and all the other senior scholars who have assembled here for the text reading. Friends, let us read the text, and this is a kind of a runa that we are trying to fulfill, Acharya runa, by reading the text and trying to give our own interpretation. And I see that this is the single method by which Indian philosophy can be brought back to the contemporary life situations. So without wasting much time, I once again invite Professor Iyer to this grand platform of the Moola Grantha Pataha, Vyakhyata and Hariman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I am pleased to invite Professor Subrahmanya Iyer for the textual reading and interpretation of Tatvopadeśa of Śrī Śaṅkarācārya. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Good evening to all. Dr. Professor Srikala, Dr. Sri Ramakrishna Bhatt, Dr. Professor Shiba, Dr. K.M. Sangameshan, Dr. Ramya, other members of the faculty, research scholars and students. I am happy to associate myself with a prestigious program of Sri Shankara Study Circle on this pleasant evening. Speaking of Sri Shankara in general and his works in particular, I deem it as a manana prakriya. Thank you, organizers. Before entering into the work assigned to me, I am reminded of the words of Kavikula Guru Kalidasa, Ko Surya Prabhavo Vamsha, Kocha Alpa Vishaya Mati. I am very happy that Dr. Ramakrishna Bhatt is also gracing this occasion with his blessings. I am happy that my dear friend Dr. Chandrika has also joined this meet to give me the necessary support. Now, Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahmavidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplabrahita Prajnana Ghana Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi. Acharya Shankara's voluminous philosophical and devotional literature and his missionary work in uniting our land in a grand spiritual canopy makes him a prominent and a formidable personality in the cultural history of India. The short span of life of 32 years was full of tremendous constructive activity and dynamic universal thought. The momentum of the forces he has released for the rejuvenation of religion and society on a philosophical and rational basis continues unabated even to this day. Tatvopadeśa, a short manual on the topic, the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, is a discussion, and it falls under the category of Prakarana and Upadesha type of granthas. While upholding that moksha, or the realization of the self, is the summum bonum of a true seeker of truth, Sree Sankara admits the empirical status of the universe, which he argues is non-real. This status is called the Vyavaharika Satta, under whose patronage we study, discuss, cogitate many of the vexing philosophical issues till we arrive at the realization of Brahman. That is Swa-Anubhava and Brahmatmana Samsthitihi, as Sankara observes in the introductory stanza of Viveka Chudamani. Tatvopadeśa is more or less a monologue. The Guru addressing, giving solutions to some of the spiritual problems of the seeker. He imparts a methodology to his student to arrive at the right comprehension of the Mahavakya Tattvamasi found in Chandogya Upanishad. The work revolves around a methodology to arrive at the true meaning of this Mahavakya Tattvamasi. You know, the four Mahavakyas, Prajnanam Brahma of the Rigveda, Aham Brahmasmi of the Yajurveda, Tattvamasi of the Samaveda, and Ayamatma Brahma of the Atharva Veda. The listener is a serious student, can be classified as a Madhyama Adhikari, who is behind the curtain but not invisible. Nowhere in this work, scattered over 86 stanzas of stunning brilliance, does the seeker or the student utter a single word or raise a question. Guru himself clears all the anticipatory and possible doubts and misrepresentations that have creeped into the mind of the seeker. The Mahavakya Tattvamasi occurs 9 times in the 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, where the great sage Uddalaka imparts the significance of the above Mahavakya to his spiritually inclined son Shvetaketu by giving 9 different illustrations. To quote from Chandogya, Saya Esho Anima Idadatmamidam Sarvam Tat Satyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi Shvetaketo Iti Huyayeva Ma Bhagavan Vijñāpayattviti Tatha Saumyeti Hovacha. And this is repeated Navakritva, that's what, 9 times. And the Guru Uddalaka explains by giving 9 different illustrations. In Tatvopadeśa, the Guru begins his essay on his intended topic by declaring Tattvam Vadartha Shuddhyartham Guru Shishyam Vacho Bravit Vakye Tattvamasi Ityatra Tvam Vadartham Vivechaya. This itself can be taken as a Mangala Padya. As we know, Ashir Namaskriya Vastu Tattva Nirdesha. Tattvam Vadartha Shuddhyartham Guru Shishyam Vacho Abravit Vakye Tattvamasi Ityatra Tvam Padartham Vivechaya. This is a direction to the student to cogitate on the topic, on the exact significance of the word Tvam. That is the first step. Here the Guru motivates the seeker to ponder over or cogitate on the true import of the word Tvam in the above Mahavakya. At the very outset, a suitable prakriya, we may call it a methodology, is also designed by Guru to lead the disciple to understand the true significance of the words that and thou, tat and tva. The stanzas 2 to 14, Guru denies the ultimate reality of body, senses, mind, and intellect. The individual self is not body because it is a material substance which is impure and ever-changing. Natvam dehosi drishyatvad pajatyadimatvatah bhaudigatvad ashuddhatvad anityatvad tathaivacha. The needs no further explanation. Even then, the Guru asks the seeker to reflect on this particular statement that Natvam Dehosi. So he declares that at the very outset, he declares that you are not the body. Then he continues. He continues with the logic. Adrishyo rupahinastvam jadihinopyabhautika shuddha nityosi dirgrupo ghado yadvan na dirgbhavet. That is, a material substance like a pot could not be an observer. So only an inert object cannot be an observer. Only a chetana can be an observer. Na bhavan indriyani yesham karanatvena yashrutihi prayarakatvam pratakdebhyo na karta karanam bhavet. Again, the Guru denies the sense organs, the reality of the sense organs, such as the ear, eyes, etc. Because the Chetana is the origin and he is distinct from the organs of sense. So a Chetana cannot be an agent or an instrument. He continues with that exposition. And exposition of the true nature of the self is not useless because man is apt to identify himself with the body, senses, mind, and intellect at such occasions and feels himself miserable. Although misery is totally absent in the self, in its deluded state, the self attaches misery with it. The individual self is roused from such wrong notions of identification with body, mind, etc. The Guru then emphasizes the inadequacy and incompetency of pramanas to get the desired result. That is the realization. Pramanam bodhayantam tam bodham manena ye janaha babutsandeta yedobhi dagdham vanchandi pavakam. That is the stanza 14. I skip the intermediary stanzas. Fire itself burns the fuel, just as the Chaitanya, the consciousness itself, imparts or bestows powers to the Pramanas. Pramanas have the distinct power of revealing. Fuel cannot burn fire itself, just as thought and other means cannot reveal consciousness. The Pramanas, they accrue the power to reveal the Prameyas only with the blessings of Brahman, that is the ever consciousness.
So we can't hear you. Hello?
Ma'am, I think some network issue because
Yeah. Shiva, just call him and find out.
sure.
Yeah, yes, teacher.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear, sir.
So please go ahead. Hello?
Not you turned off my mobile. No turned
So
off.
please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. In other words, this Atman is Swayam Prakasha. No other light is needed for showing this entity. On the other hand, it is in the light of this Atman that everything else is revealed, be it in the ordinary world or even in Shastras. Now, the stanza, the word is substituted by the word idam for tvam, that is universe, where the Guru denies the reality of the universe. Idam tveneva yat bhati sarvam taccha nishidhyate. Avachya tattvam anidam na vedyam swaprakashataha. Now, the Guru conveys the definition of Brahman, the absolute, as Satya, Jnana, and Ananda. That is the sloka number 18. There is a reference to the Taittiriya Shruti. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Brahma Lakshanam Uchyate. Satyatwadu, Jnana Rupatwadu, Anandatwadu Tvamevahi. It's a very simple stanza, I should say, to understand the word meaning. Brahman is existence, knowledge, and infinity. This is accepted as the Swarupa Lakshana of Brahman. That Brahman is Sat Swarupa is declared by hundreds of Shrudivakyas, aided by various lines of reasoning. In Chandogya, while considering the process of dissolution, in which a gross entity is broken away into a relatively subtler one, it leads to the subtlest of all as the culmination of this process. Sa Esho Anima, that is in Chandogya, it is declared to be the only reality. Tat Satyam Sa Atma. Then Atman is the supreme reality. Also because it is the substratum of the non-real or the illusory world. Similarly, Shrutis declare Brahman as Vijnana Ghana. Now, Guru introduces the limiting conditions, that is Upadhi. We may, for our understanding, we may call it limiting conditions, that is Upadhi. It has so many technical meanings also. And the Guru introduces the limiting conditions, that is the Upadhi, which makes appearances as Jiva, the individual self, and Ishvara, the creator. Sati Dehad Upadhau Syat Jivastasya Niyamaka Ishvara Shakti Upadhitvat Doyor Bodhe Swayam Prabha. Now, so Maya is responsible for the non-real experience or the appearance of Ishvara and Jiva, or the appearance of Ishwaratva or Jivatva on the part of the Swayam Prabha or the Swayam Jyoti, that is Brahman. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Asman Mayi Vrajade Vishwametate Tasmin Chanyo Mayaya Sanniruddhaha. The whole world, including ourselves, is projected by the wielder of Maya, that is Ishvara. Elsewhere, they says, Mayanam tu Maheshwara, Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyat, Mayanam tu Maheshwara. The whole world, including ourselves, is projected by the wielder of Maya, that is Ishvara, by the Shakti Upadhi, again in this world. The other aspect, the Jiva is subject to the Maya, Dehati Upabhav. The Sati Dehati Upabhav Syat Jivastasya Niyamaka Ishvara Shakti Upadhitvat Doyor Bodhe Swayam Prabha. That is the stanza in Tatvopadeśa. In his bhashya on the above Shruti, that is Asman Mayi Vrajade Vishwametat Astasmimschanyo Mayaya Saniruddha. Here, Acharya Shankara says, Avikari Brahmanaha Katham Prapanja Upadanatvam Ityataha Mayi iti. Kudasthasyapi Swashakti Vasat Sarva Srashtratvam Upapannam Ityetat Vishwam Purvoktam Prapanja Jatam Utpadayati Swamayaya Kalpite Tasmin Bhutadi Prapanje Mayayaiva Anyaiva Saniruddhaha Avidyavashako Bhutva Samsara Samudre Bhramati. This is the pregnant utterances of Acharya. So, Ishvara himself is called Jiva when he appears as one subject to the control of Maya. There is, there may be some other interpretations in various traditions. That Jiva is none other than Ishvara is seen from the circumstance that a modicum of independence or swatandriya, characteristic of Ishvara, remains in Jiva, even in the so-called bound state. Now, corroborating this view, Sureshwara in his Manasollasa, a commentary on Dakshinamurti Stotra, says, Yadyat karoti janati tasmin pareshwara raja vidwan so samarthyad ishwaroyam iti idiyate. Yadyat karoti janati tasmin pareshwara raja vidwan so samarthyad ishwaroyam iti idiyate. We call a great scholar or a king also in such adorable terms as Ishvara. In order to ascertain the true nature of Brahman, one has to access the meaning of the sentences in the Veda, like Tattvamasi, etc. Now he comes to the central theme of the text. Tohi Tattvamasyadi Vedavakyam Pramanatah Brahmanosti yaya yuktya sa asmabhi samprakirtyate. Now this forms the central theme of the text. Now, atohi Tattvamasyadi Vedavakyam Pramanatah Brahmanosti yaya yuktya sa asmabhi samprakirtyate. Here, Shankara accepts the Shruti as the Pramanam and also Yukti supporting the Shruti to get the real meaning of the words. Shodhite tvampadartehi tattvamasyadi chinditam sambhaven anyata tasmat shodhanam kritam adita. So, here he accepts the scheme of true logic, nyaya or yukti or reasoning, which help the seeker understand Mahavakyas in their proper perspective. That is, he accords a very valuable position to the reasoning also. You know that in many of his statements. Now, the Guru asserts that the foremost pramana is Shruti and it has Advaita as its settled conclusion. A seeker is advised to employ yukti or reasoning to engender the conviction in Advaita. In Upadesha Panchaka, Acharya Shankara asserts, Vakyarthascha vicharyatam Shrutishirah pakshah samashriyatam Dustarkad suviramyatam Shrudimatas tarko anusandhiyatam. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam Shrutishirah pakshas samashriyyatam Dustarkat subiramyatam Shrudimatas tarko anusandhiyatam. Probably an echo of this statement is we can read in this. Atohi tattvamasyadi vedavakyam pramanatah brahmanosti yaya yuktya sa asmabhihi samprakirtyate. Now, the vachyartha, the directly expressed meaning of the word tvam, is one who conceives of agency, etc. Kartrutva adi abhimani, and has falsely superimposed the characteristics of body, senses, etc. on him. Deha indriyati dharman yah swatmanya aropayan mrisha kartrutva abhimani cha vakyarthas tambadasya saha. So, the directly expressed meaning, that is vakyartha of this word tvam in the sentence, is one who conceives of agency, etc. Kartrutvad abhimani. Swatmani aropayan mrisha. He superimposes kartrutva, etc. on his own self. And which truly they form the characteristics of body and senses. Dehendriyadi sakshi yastebhyo bhadi vilakshana swayam bodha surupattat lakshyarthas tumbadasya saha. Now, the sakshi concept is introduced. Dehendriyadi sakshi yastebhyo bhadi vilakshana swayam bodha surupattat lakshyarthas tumbadasya saha. Now, the lakshyartha, or the indirectly expressed meaning of the word tvam, is one who is the witness of the body, senses, etc., who shines distinct from them. Bhati vilakshana, being the nature of conscious itself. Swayam bodha swarupatva. The sakshi is swayam bodha swarupa. I would request scholars to, at the stage of discussion, whether sakshi is accepted by all the streams of Advaita. Vedanta vakya samvedya vishwatika aksharadvayam vishuddham yat samvedyam lakshyarthas tatpadasya saha. Now, it directly expresses the meaning of lakshyartha. There is no reference to the vachyartha of the tatpadartha in the text. Vedanta vedya samvedya Vedanta vakya samvedya Vishwatita aksharadvayam vishuddham yat swasamvedyam lakshyartha tatpadasya saha. The indirectly expressed meaning, that is lakshyartha of the word tat, is vishuddham yat swasamvedyam, is the pure, imperishable, non-duality of that is beyond the universe. And it is to be known through the statements of the Upanishads only, and to be discovered by oneself. Now, the lakshyartha of the word tvam we have already discussed, and the lakshyartha of the word tat as the pure, imperishable non-duality beyond the universe. And here, the vachyartha of the word tat is, we must take it as the all-powerful God, sarvajñatvādi vishishta. Now, from the stanza 26, the Guru introduces the methodology, it's a second part, by which the agreement in the sense of the two words Tvam and Tat is arrived at, taking into account the mental makeup of the adhikari or the shishya. Samanadhikaranyam hi patayos tattvamo dvayoho sambandhastena vedantayir brahmaikyam pratipadyate. Samanadhikaranyam hi patayoho tattvamo dvayoho sambandhastena vedantaihi brahmaikyam pratipadyate. The two words Tat and Tvam, they agree with each other grammatically, though this agreement of the Upanishads teach the unity of the absolute Brahman. Now, and here Acharya introduces some aspects of the Shastras. Bhinna pravritti heditve padayoreka vastuni vrittitvam yat tathaiva ikyam vibhaktyantakayos भिन्न प्रवृत्ति हेतुत्वे पदयोः एकवस्तुनि वृत्तित्वं यत् तथैव ऐक्यं विभक्त्यन्तकयोः तयोः. See, there are two words. That is, they are the cause of different manifestations. Bhinna pravritti hetutva. They refer to one reality, the vastu. So they have the same grammatical case also. Tat and Tvam are one and the same. Now it has been explained in the 24th verse also. Swayam bodho swarupatat lakshyarthas tumbadasya saha. And this is further developed in the this stanza. Bhinna pravritti hedutve padayoho ekavastuni vrittitvam yat tathaiva aikyam vibhaktyantakayos tayoho samanadhikaranyam tat sambradayibhiriditam तथा पदार्थयोरेव विशेषण विशेष्यता. Now, the Guru introduces the methodology by which agreement in the sense of the two words Tvam and Tat is arrived at, taking into account the mental makeup of the adhikari. Samanadhikaranya means existence of two terms in the same locus ashraya, or existence of two categories, padartha, in the same locus. Here, the concept of upadhi is accepted as the cause of the appearance of duality. For the removal of such upadhi, grammatically, or agreement has been accepted by the tradition. Now, सामानाधिकरण्यं तत् संप्रदायिभिरीरितं तथा पदार्थयोरेव विशेषण विशेष्यता. The concept of upadhi is accepted as the cause of the appearance of duality. For the removal of such upadhi, grammatical agreement has been accepted by the tradition, that is sampradaya. Thus, the two words stand in the relation of adjective and noun. As the primary significance of the words Tat and Tvam stand in opposition, now we resort to the Lakshanavritti. And Lakshanavritti is accepted to arrive at their implied meaning, removing their mutual contradictions. Paraspara viruddham syad tato bhavati lakshana. Lakshya lakshana sambandha padartha pratyagahatmanoho. It's a very important stanza. Paraspara viruddham syad tato bhavati lakshana. Lakshya lakshana sambandha padartha pratyagahatmanoho. Now, as a part of this methodology, Guru explains the threefold divisions of Lakshanavritti also. Stanzas 33 and 34 explains Jagati Lakshana, and stanzas 35 and 36 explain the Ajahati Lakshana. Trividha Lakshana Jnaya, Jahatya Jagati Tatha, Anyobhayatmika Jnaya Tatra Adhyana Eva Sambhavet. Vakyartham, we know that methodology. Vakyartham Akilam Tektva Vritti Sadhyata Danvite Gangayam Ghosha Itipad Jahadi Lakshana Hisa Vacyarthasya Ekadeshasya Prakrite Tyagayishyate Jahadi Sambhavayen Naiva Sampradaya Virodhataha Vacyartham Aparityajya Vrittir Anyartha Ketuya Kathiteyam Ajahati Shonoyam Bhavati Tivat Na Sambhavati Sapyatra Vacyarthe Ati Virodhata Virodhamsha Paristyago Drishyate Prakrite Yata. So by resorting to the Jahada Jahar Lakshana is also called the Bhaga Lakshana. And following strictly the tradition, Guru accepts the third variety called Bhaga Lakshana to arrive at the Samanadhikaranya. The Guru accepts the third variety called Bhaga Lakshana to arrive at the Samanadhikaranya of these two words. As Tattvamasi says Shruti Vakya, a consensus is arrived at by discarding the qualities of the individual self, Jivadharman Pratyaktvadin Parityajya, that is the stanza number 40. In a similar way, discarding the qualities of the Sarvajñatva Parokshatvadin Parityajya, sloka number 41. The attention is awakened on the supreme pure being as an unchanging awareness. Ekarupataya duyah kalavyapi sa kudhastha. It is called kudhastha. Now, I am skipping some of the shlokas because those are, we know it. Tattvamoho padayoho aikyameva tattvamasiityalam ittam aikya avabodhena samyak jnanam dridham nayaihi. Sarvajñatva parokshadin parityajya tatah padade shuddham kudastam advaitam bodhayati adarat param. Now, when from that word tat, Sarvajñatva, Parokshatva, that is the omniscience or the impersonality, etc., are completely removed. With attention, the supreme, the pure unchanging Advaita is awakened. Shuddham Kudastam Advaitam Bodhayati Adarat Param. That is the function of the word, the function of the sentence, Tattvamasi. Tattvamoho Padeyoho Aikyameva Tattvamasi Kyalam Itham Aikya Avabodhena Samyak Jnanam Dridham Nayaihi. From the two words, that and you, that is Tata and Tvam, unity is realized. The sentence, you are that, is sufficient for this. Thus, through the awareness of unity, the voice is firmly established in true knowledge. Itham aikya avabodhena samyak jnanam dridham nayaihi. Aham brahmedi vijnanam yasya shogam taratyasau atma prakashamanopi mahavakyai tataikata. See, by the constant contemplation, one who is awakened by this realization of Aham Brahma, he transcends all grief. Tarati Shokam Atmavid. Stanzas 44 to 47 praises the importance of Guru in such a realization. Thus, even at the fag end of the text, there are 3 stanzas extolling the greatness of Guru. Tattvamor bodhyate tapi paurvaparyanusarata tathapi shakyate neva Sree Guroh karunam vina aparokshaitum loke moodhaihi panditamanibihi antakarana samshuddhau swayam jnanam prakashate vedavakyehi atahim syat guruneti na sambradam acharyavan purusho hi vedetyevam shuddhirjagau. You know the acharyavan purusho veda in the Chandogya text. And Sankara himself accepts this tradition. In the commencement of his Bhashya on Taittiriya, he says that he follows a Sambradaya Yairime Guribhi Purvam Padavakya Pramanataha Vyakyata Sarva Vedantaha Tanityam Pranatosmyaha. Anadaviha Samskare Bodhako Gururevahi Ato Brahmatmavat Vaikyam Nyatva Drishyam Asattaya. So the importance of Guru in a seeker's spiritual life is emphasized in many of the passages. Advaite Brahmani Stheyam Pratyak Brahmatmana Sada Tat Pratyakshat Parijnadam Advaita Brahma Chidhanam. And one who has realized this, the true significance of the word, the sentence, the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, when he is aroused to the awakening, he will remain ever in the absolute Brahman. Advaite Brahmani Stheyam. He should remain. Tat Pratyakshat Parijnadam Advaita Brahma Chidhanam. So, being fully known that reality, he is always in that state of Brahman. Pratipadyam tadeva atra Vedantayarna dvayam jadam sukharupam chid advaitam dukkharupam asajjadam. He repeats that the Vedanta emphasizes the Advaita is Sukha, Ananda, and all other things are Dukkha. They are by nature misery. Vedante tadvayam samyak nirnitam vastuto nayat advaimeva satyam tvam vidhi dvaitam asat sada. So, Acharya here, it's not the conclusion, but still this can be taken as a conclusion. Vedantehi tadvayam samyak nirnitam vastuto nayat. The Upanishads, they completely distinguish duality from Advaita. Know that the Advaita alone is true and the duality is always non-real. Shuddhe katham ashuddhasyat drishyam mayamayam tata shuktav rupyam risha tadvat tatha vishwam paratmani. Vidyate na swatah sattvam na asatah sattvam asti va badhyatvad naima sadvaitam na asat pratyakshabhanatah. These are the yuktis, some of the yuktis Acharya has introduced. Now, the stanzas 51 to 55 speak of the corroborative reasoning or yuktis on this Advaita awakening, which I have now presented. Shuddhe kadham ashuddhasyat drishyam mayamayam tata shuktav rupyam risha yadvat atha vishwam paratmani vidyatena swatah sattvam na asatah sattvam asti va badhyatvad naiva sadvaitam na asat pratyakshabhanata satasanna viruddhatvad ado anirvachyameva tat. Now he comes to its anirvachya theory. Yah purvameka sarak asid srashta paschaditam jagat pravishto jivarupena sa evatma bhavan parah sachidananda evatvam vismrtite atmataya param. Now the anupravesha shruti atmana anupravishya tatsrishtva tadeva anupravishadu, etc. And the significance of those shrutis are now here stated. The stanzas 57 to 74 describe the story of the Gandhara Deshiya, how he is awakened to his original identity. I don't want to spend much time on the Gandhara Desha. The students of philosophy, the students of Advaita Vedanta, they know how a Gandhara Deshiya who has very rich golden ornaments has been taken away by the Taskara, and he is led to a forest where he finds only misery, and finally with the words of some Karuna Vadi, some people who take pity on them. Here the Guru, he is brought to his identity. Now, the Guru, now here, after the Gandhara Deshiya example, Guru emphasized the need of the tradition, the Vidhivat Krita Sannyasa, Vivekadiyuta Sudhi. He is the most fitting person or seeker to receive the Sadvidya from Guru. Now we have to analyze this stanza. Vidhivat Krita Sannyaso Vivekadiyuta Sudhi. Before that, he says, Varnashramaachara Paro Avaptah Punyamahodaya Ishvara Anugrahal Labdho Brahmavit Guru Sattamaha. And the teacher who is attentive to the proper response in each situation. And the student has attained the final liberation. So, Ishvara Anugrahal Labdho Brahmavit Guru Sattamaha. We seek the blessings of a Guru. We have Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. We have such a numerous quotations from Bhagavad Gita and also from Upanishads. Vidhivat Krita Sannyaso Vivekadiyuta Sudhihi Prapto Brahmopadesho Adya Vairagya Abhyasatah Param. So in this stanza, the sadhana chatushtaya is also suggested. Atmanatma Viveka, Vidhivat Krita Sannyasaha, Vairagya Abhyasa, Atmanatma Viveka, then Ihamutrartha Palabhoga Viraga, Shamadamadi Sadhana Sampat, and Mumukshutva, that is already there in the seeker. So, the sadhana chatushtaya is also suggested in this stanza. And the Guru emphasizes the need of Nididhyasana. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchita Artha Sannyasa Yogat Yate Shuddha Sattvaha Vino Dashruti. Vidhivat Krita Sannyasaha. Now, a question is, this sannyasa, whether it is a krama sannyasa or is it a complete detachment from the complete detachment from the worldly affairs, sannyasa, that we will have to discuss. Now, Guru emphasizes the need of nididhyasana. Now, till even after acquiring the Brahmajnana, he emphasizes the need of nididhyasana. Panditas tatra medhavi yuktya vastu vicharayan nididhyasana sampannaha praptosi tvam param padam. Nididhyasana vino atmavare shradavyo mandavyo nididhyasana. So declares the Upanishad declares. The true seeker who has realized this non-dual Brahman, Advaita Brahman, is directed to act accordingly as he is released from bondage. His doubts on the nature of the Atman are totally discarded. He is nirdvanda and nispriha. Vastuto bhutva vimukta bandhastvam chinna dvaida atma samshaya nirdvando nispruho bhutva vijarasva yatha sukham. Vastuto nishprapanjosi nityamukta swabhavata nate bandha vimokshaustah kalpitautau yatastvai. The true seeker who has realized this Advaita Brahman is directed to act accordingly as he is released from bondage, and his doubts on the nature of Atman is totally discarded. He is nirdvandva nispriha. In reality, he is nishprapancha nityamukta. For him, there is no bondage nor liberation. Now, the next stanza is a very famous one. Na nirodho na jotpatta na baddho na cha sadhaka na mumukshan na vai mukta ityesha paramarthata. It is we find this in the Mandukya Karika of Acharya Shankara. Na nirodho na ja utpattihi na baddho na ja sadhaka na mumukshar na vai mukta ityesha paramarthata. Maybe Ajativada is emphasized here. That absolute non-manifestation, that Ajati is the only truth. Now, Guru continues to address the student or the seeker. Panditas tatra medhavi yuktya vastu vicharaya. Now you have become the Pandita. Pandasya sanjata iti Panditaha. You have become medhavi. Medha is prajnavan. Yuktya vastu vicharayanne nididhyasana sampannaha prapto hitvam param padam. And now, coming to the last portion, there is again some stanzas on the importance of Guru. He praises Sachat Kritva Parichinna Advaita Brahmaksharam Swayam Jivanneva Vinirmukto Vishranda Shandim Ashraya. Now, as he has become a Brahmajnani, he has been asked to remain completely free and at ease. And that is the Jivanta Avastha. Jivanneva Vinirmukto Vishranda Shandimashraya. He has included the Jivanmukti concept also. Now, there are again 3 stanzas praising the Guru. Vicharaniya Vedanta. Hey, Javai. Hey, Java Pinni Purtu. You Purtu. No speedy cleaner.
So we can hear you, no problem.
Okay. Vicharaniya Vedanta Vandaniyu Guru Sada Gurunam Vajanam Pathyam Darshanam Sevanam Manam. So, always, even after the realization, Vicharaniya Vedanta, the Upanishad should be reflected upon, okay, not occasionally, many times. And the teacher should be always venerated. Vandaniyo Guru Sada Gurunam Vajanam Pathyam Darshanam Sevanam Nranam. Guru Brahma Swayam Sakshat Sevyo Vandyo Mumukshubhihi No Dvajaniya Evayam Kritajnena Vivekena. So, Yavadayustvaya Vandyo Vedando Guru Ishvara Manasa Karmana Vaja Shrutirevesha Nishchayaha. Yavadayustvaya Vandyo Vedando Guru Ishvaraha. It's a direction from the Guru, Acharya Shankara, to the spiritual seeker. Yavadayustvaya Vandyo Vedando Guru Ishvara. So, for as long as you live, Upanishad should be venerated. Vandya means how it should be venerated. The true significance of the Upanishad Vakyas should be reflected upon. That is the Vandanam of Vedanta, Guru and Ishvara. Again, the teacher should be venerated as the Guru. Ishvaru Gururat. We have such Ishvaru Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine. We find the highest truth in the Dakshinamurti Stotra. Now, this is the resolution. Shruti Evesha Nishchaya Manasa Karmana Vacha Vedando Vadyaha Guruhu Ishwarascha. So, this is a very clear instruction to the student that everything in the as per the tenets, as per the instructions of the Guru, the student should ever remain in constant touch with the reading of Upanishads, in the seva of Guru. Now, there are exceptions also, that's something different. And now there is a manasa karmana vacha shruti evesha nishchaya. This is the sum and substance of the shruti, that as long as you live, the Upanishads should be venerated, Upanishads, the Vedanta should be venerated, the teacher should be venerated, and Ishvara should be venerated. Or we can even interpret it as Guru can be venerated as Ishvara. This is the Vedantic, the resolution. That is the revealed teaching. The Shruti alone should live in mind, action, and speech. Now there is the last stanza where some clarity should be. We should have some clarity. Bhava advaitam sada kuryat kriya advaitam na karhichit advaitam trishulokeshu na advaitam guruna saha. And bhava advaitam sada kuryat. Now, as a in the technical language, bhava advaitam, there is proposed by, as to my very limited understanding, it is, we find this in the work of Brahma Siddhi of Mandalamashvara. Bhava advaitam sada kuryade kriya advaitam na karhichit advaitam trishulokeshu na advaitam guruna saha. Now, there the text ends. So, the teaching of non-duality, that is, this Advaita proposes two levels of reality, that is Paramartha and Vyavahara. Paramartha Sat and Vyavahara Sat. Of course, there is one more realm called the Pratibhasikam. And here, the teacher and people are one aspect of the field of practical dealings. That is how the explanation goes. So one should not impose non-duality, Advaita, on this relationship, Guru-Shishya relationship. The text has already stated in the 86, the verse, the preceding, that as long as one lives, the teacher should be venerated as Ishvara. Here, the text concludes with this instruction to the student. Friends, let me conclude my talk on this Tatvopadeśa of Acharya Sankara. Once again, the penultimate stanza in the text. Yavadayus tvaya vandyo vedando guru ishvara manasa karmana vacha shrudir evesha nishchaya. Now friends, let me again express my sense of gratitude to the organizers of this event. I have been given an opportunity to present a discussion on Tatvopadeśa, maybe inadequate or with the inappropriate comments. There may be lacunae in many places in my understanding of the text, yet I find it refreshing to myself, and it may instill some interest in the academic society to make a more detailed and exhaustive study of this text. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Iyer, for beautifully presenting the central verses in the text and for explaining them and interpreting them in such a detailed manner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now it's time for a brief discussion on the paper. So you have a question in the chat box. Should I read it for you?
Please, please.
Mr. Nishad has asked, according to Advaita, this universe is mere superimposition. Then who is the superimposer? If Jiva, he himself is a superimposition, then how does it happen? What is the purpose of superimposition or creation, and how the superimposed universe seems to be very systematic?
See, the superimposition takes place because of the ignorance of the individual. Now, we in this Vyavaharika Satta, we feel only duality. Only at the Paramarthika stage we find the Advaita. Now, the question is most appropriate because where does the superimposition? The superimposition takes place on Atman itself. The removal of the superimposition is a revelation. The Jivatma realizes that he is not the world, he is not the body, not the senses, nor the mind, nor the intellect, which are only the superimposed aspects on it. So, Advaita is a Shastra where realization, it is unlike any other Shastra, it is the realization of the infinite, that is the Advaita, Advaita Brahman. What we see is only duality in our, not only in our daily or the in our every sphere of life, we find only the duality. Suffice it to say that we are always in a deluded state. The Vedantas now they teach us how we should come out of this delusion. That is the examples, the Gandhara Deshiya example. There are so many other ways. There are other explanations also, and I am just making it concise. We are always in a deluded state. The delusion should be removed. Ajnana should be removed. And that takes place only at the highest level. Please. So I hope this may satisfy to some extent.
Thank you, sir. Do we have more questions?
Please.
We have Dr. Ramakrishna Bhatt with us. Sir, do you have any questions or comments? Sir, please unmute yourself.
आचार्याः श्रूयते खलु?
शृणोमि.
अमुं मञ्चम् अनेके उपन्यासाः अलङ्कुर्वन् अयं तु उपन्यासः अश्रुतपूरः इति मम भाति. अश्रुतपूर्वोऽयम्
अनुगृहीतः
सम्यगस्ति. असदृशः उपन्यासः, सर्वेषाम् उपकारकः, छात्राणाम् अध्यापकानां च उपकारकोऽयम् उपन्यासः.
धन्यवादाः.
एतदर्थं धन्यवादाः.
नमो नमः.
Sir, good evening, sir. Chandrika.
Oh, namaskaram, teacher. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Sir, കുറച്ച് സമയം എടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിലും ആ 84 ശ്ലോകങ്ങളുണ്ട്. അത് ഞാൻ എടുത്ത് വെച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു, കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. എന്തായാലും കൃത്യമായിട്ട് സാർ എല്ലാം വളരെ സ്പഷ്ടമായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു. താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച്.
വളരെ സന്തോഷം. താങ്കളുടെ ഈ വളരെ എന്താ ഉദാരപൂർവമായ ഈ വാക്കുകൾക്ക് വളരെ സന്തോഷം.
ഇല്ല, സാർ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് എല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞു. ഇത്രയും സമയത്തിൽ ഇത്രയും ശ്ലോകങ്ങൾ വളരെ സംക്ഷിപ്തമായിട്ട് പറയുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു ടാസ്ക് തന്നെയാണ്. താങ്ക് യു സർ, താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച്.
May I, Ramya?
Sure, ma'am, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. I happen to be the chair. Well, wonderful, as the Professor Chandrika has said that I'll speak in English because probably there are non-Malayalis too in the group, so we will speak in English. I heard, as Professor Ramakrishna Bhatt has said, and as Professor Chandrika has said, that this is a less discussed work. But then, it is, I'm listening it for the first time. And as I listen to you, everything that Advaita requires as a doctrine has been mentioned in the text. Everything from A to Z, whatever that Shankara needed to establish his theory has been brought in. And one thing that two things that interested me was, apart from, the basic doctrines that all of us are aware, which are, non-controversial as well as Advaitins are concerned, two things that attracted me is about the Sampradaya. Shankara, I think somewhere he said that Asampradaya with Murghavat Upekshaniya.
In Gita Bhashya.
Gita Bhashya. So this
Sarvashastravidapi Asampradaya with Murghavat Upekshaniya.
Sarvashastra Vidapi Asampradaya with Murghavat Upekshaniya.
I think it is in the 13th chapter.
All right. So this sticking onto the Sampradaya has been wrongly interpreted on and off by the post-colonial, may I use the term, post-colonial interpreters of Indian philosophy. And I think I'm sure those who are assembled here have no doubt whatsoever on what Śaṅkarācārya meant by Sampradaya. But then it's very, very essential that we give the right interpretation of the term Sampradaya here so that Shankara is understood very well. And the second thing is about the Guru principle as such. And he has beautifully quoted the Gita, Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Seva. Everyone quotes this half the latter two verses of Bhagavan himself. And in several occasions you find the significance of Guru and how beautifully Acharya has spoken about. And the interpretation of Yas is something which I liked, like how Guru could be equated with Ishvara. I have heard it from several contemporary preceptors wherein it has been said that however low your Guru could be, even your Guru, your physical Guru could err, but nevertheless you should consider the Guru as equivalent to each other. Yeah, so much so that Ishvara himself will come down and function as your Guru. This is what Shastra says, and this is what Shankara himself has said in this beautiful work, which is less known. I'm so happy that I had an opportunity to listen to this work, which is some substance of Advaita Vedanta, and I hope that the Vedanta students as well as the teachers can amply quote from this, because the verses are quite cute and small, very easily memorable. So you can happily quote these texts and enrich your discourses, oral or written. And so is the case with the philosophy students and the teachers. Once again, I'm so happy, Professor Subrahmanya Iyer, for having joined us and have chosen this particular text, which has not been so much discussed, but nevertheless a beautiful work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all listeners, and thank you I very much appreciate the work taken by the center to promote the academic works, and wish you all success in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Now, may I invite Dr. K.M. Sangameshan, Assistant Director of the International School for Śrī Śaṅkarācārya Studies, for delivering the vote of thanks.
Namaste, sir.
Namaskaram, Sangameshan.
Namaskaram.
Sangamam നടക്കുന്നു.
സന്തോഷം. അതിനൊരു ചെറിയ നിമിത്തമാവാൻ എനിക്കും കഴിഞ്ഞല്ലോ എന്നുള്ള സന്തോഷം. സർവം ശ്രീകലയാ കൃതം, ശ്രീകലയാ കൃതം സർവം. Respected Subrahmanya sir and dear friends, good evening to all. I am very happy, so happy in seeing Professor Subrahmanya Iyer on this online platform and in hearing Śrī Śaṅkarā's own words and Śrī Śaṅkarā's ideas from his beautiful talk from Subrahmanya Iyer. It is as a Sahitya student, literature student, it is very interesting to me that the definition and the main divisions of Lakshana and with the examples are discussed in this little text. Very interesting. I am very much very excited on seeing simple examples. It is explained here. I am so happy. It is my first experience in this reading this little book. So happy for making an occasion to hear this work. Thank you, sir. It is on behalf of Śrī Śaṅkarā Study Circle, I express our deep gratitude to Professor Subrahmanya Iyer for his nice explanation of the Tatvopadeśa. It is Tatvopadeśa, the word, the name of the text itself is very significant, I think. Tatvopadeśa. Tatvopadeśa, in that, Tattvam is there, and Tatvopadeśa. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have, as in the earlier circle sessions, we have had good discussion too. Today also, scholars like Bhatt sir, Ramakrishna Bhatt sir, and Chandrika teacher have actively took part in this discussion. On behalf of Śrī Śaṅkarā Study Circle and the participants assembled on this platform, I thank these reverend scholars. Thank you. Nisha also took part in this discussion. I could not see him, only Ramya run out his question. I sincerely thank Professor Srikala madam. Srikala, that also a nice name, a Sanskrit name. Srikala M. Nair, Director of International School of Śrī Śaṅkarā Studies, for her introductory remarks and for her discussion, her valuable points in the discussion. I also express our gratitude, deep gratitude to all participants of this program. Thank you all. I hope in future it will be a best program of Shankara School and best program in the philosophy world. I hope so. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
We look forward for the continued support of all the scholars for the forthcoming programs. We have for young philosophers coming, and as well as the international lecture program on 31st, wherein a scholar from Germany will be speaking to us on the Vishishtadvaita doctrines. So do join us and then support us.
Sure.
Endeavor and philosophy. Thank you so much.
എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്ദി.